Cut down day is in the books, but that doesn't mean that roster gymnastics are over. The New York Jets have claimed 3 players on waivers, plus Tyler Johnson, a surprise cut. Was that the wrong decision by Darren Muji? Plus, Muji spoke to reporters in Florham Park today. What were the key takeaways from his presser? We'll talk about that and much more, all coming up here on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, baby. Let's go.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Samini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Long.
You are listening to NY Flight Jets Talk. Here's your host, Connor Long.
What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello, everyone. Welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk as we come to you guys live right here on this Thursday afternoon, evening for all you guys on the East Coast, August 28th, 2025. Make sure you smash the like button and hit subscribe on your way into the building because it is completely free and it continues to help grow the platform. We have surpassed 2,050 subs. We're headed for 3,000 by the end of the season. So continue to smash the like button, continue to hit subscribe because it goes a long way and it is completely free. We appreciate the support as always. You guys want to call into the show, you could do so by using the pinned comment. We're going to get to all you guys in the chat, so load up all your questions, your comments, your thoughts, so we can react to them. Plus, don't forget about the paid way to help the show. Give membership, submit your super chats. They also give you an opportunity to win some pretty cool prizes. Every $2 super chat or gifted membership gives you an opportunity to win a Sauce Gardner signed jersey, a Garrett Wilson signed helmet, a Wayne Corbett signed jersey, a Nick Mangold signed jersey, a CJ Mosley signed jersey, a Bart Scott signed photo, a Don Maynard signed photo, and the front page of the New York Daily News following the Jets' 1969 Super Bowl victory, and that, of course, coming in a frame. You see the details for the membership raffle down below, guys. Every $2 super chat or gifted membership gives you an entry. Again, that's smash the like button, hit subscribe, load up all your questions, your comments, your thoughts in the chat so we can get to those. I'm your host, Connor Long, right here with you guys on NY Flight Jet Talk, and joining me right now here on the show, the one, the only, Frankie V, U Stadium. Frankie, thank you so much for sparing some time, and it's always an honor when I get to chop it up with you, my friend.
Connor, you're one of the best in the business at this point, and you just started. No, seriously, you're doing a really great job. And how do you have all these items? Would you rob a memorabilia shop? Holy smokes, man. You got jerseys, you got helmets, you got – wow, man. I'm
well,
impressed.
Frankie, there might be some police officers or law enforcement officers watching the show, so – don't blow my cover.
But you're in Italy, remember? So, you know,
different laws.
Yeah, different laws. Will be
exactly.
Okay in Italy. But no, man, appreciate you having me on. I know you're overseas, and yeah, we've had a lot of news recently. So let's talk about it, man. I'm here.
Certainly. The first player that I want to focus on, the first official move that the Jets made post-cutdown day was adding tight end Jelani Woods. I reported on cutdown day that he had garnered a ton of interest around the league since being released early Tuesday morning by the Indianapolis Colts, and the Jets were a team of heavy interest in the tight end. Ultimately, he lands in New York, and this is a really intriguing signing for the Jets, Frankie, not only because of the upside that he brings as a pass catcher. We heard the director of player personnel today, Robbie Patton, praise his ability as a blocker. But when you look at the corresponding moves that the Jets made after adding Woods in specific, they didn't move on from a tight end. So if you're counting Andrew Beck, this team technically has 5 true tight ends on the roster with Beck, Mason Taylor, Stone Smart, Jeremy Ruckert, and obviously Jelani Woods just being officially claimed by this team yesterday. Frankie, thoughts on the move that the Jets made yesterday to release Tyler Johnson, seemingly in the correspondence of adding Woods instead of cutting one of the trillion tight ends this team has on their roster?
Yeah, it was interesting to hear Muji's talk about Tyler Johnson today like he's part of the 53. Yep. That was kind of interesting, wasn't it? Yep. I'm like, wait, didn't you just put that guy to the practice? You just released the guy?
You put Xavier Gibson, you put Alan Lazard on the roster, but you're talking about the guy you just released? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm not gonna pick at him for that. I think sometimes they consider these players on the practice squad sort of part of the team because obviously it's a clear activation that can be had there, so they could, bump him up to the 53 basically at any point throughout the season. But yeah, onto the tight end talk, man. Listen, Connor, Tanner Engstrand wants to utilize that middle of the field. Justin Fields' strength is throwing across the middle of the field. So with that being said, what is he doing, Tanner? He's stacking the deck with players that can utilize the middle of that football field. Mason Taylor's going to be doing stuff across the middle. Stone Smart will be doing stuff across the middle. You'll have Jelani Woods will be working across the middle. I don't know if Jeremy Ruckert will be doing any of those kind of things, but he's supposed to be also going across the middle. And you're going to have Beck doing things in the backfield in terms of pre-snap motion, misdirection, having mesh one way, rolling your quarterback out the other, having tight end leakage. That's going to be a big, big part of what this offense is going to do and almost has to do. I mean, I like the fact that they're saying, the Jets are saying, we know what our quarterback can and can't do, and we know he could throw to his tight ends. Give him 4 to 5 tight ends to throw to. So I like the idea there. Now the question is, outside of Mason Taylor, assuming he can be an average to above average tight end, what else are you going to get from that tight end room? And that's assuming Mason Taylor is going to give you average to above average-ish production. What are you going to get out of Stone Smart? What are you going to get out of Jeremy Ruckert, Woods, Beck? I mean, so we'll see. But I like the idea. Jelani Woods is extremely talented. Ran a 4.6 at a 10-0 RAT score. I was on the New York Post yesterday with Kaz and Ryan, and I brought that up. Kaz kind of scuffed it off and laughed. But, hey, it is what it is. Listen, Zach Kuntz also had a 10 RAS score. Honestly, there's a couple tight ends who have. None really have worked out. But, hey, maybe Jelani Woods the one that does. But I like the move there, man. I like the thought. Why not?
Definitely. Why not? And there's no established option behind Mason Taylor, which you mentioned. Therefore, that's what makes me a little puzzled by this team's decision to cut Tyler Johnson, who got a ton of run with the first team over the summer in the preseason, in training camp. And now the Jets only have 5 wide receivers on their roster, one of which rookie Arian Smith, who, yes, fans held high expectations for him, but let's keep this in mind, Frankie. This player's coming in as a 4th-round pick, widely regarded as a reach in the draft. Therefore, he should be treated like a true day 3 pick. I don't think it is fair to put all the pressure in the world on a 4th-round rookie to come in and be a team's number 2 pass-catching option. Bottom of the line, my point here is you moved on from a wide receiver. When you didn't roll with 7 wide receivers, you rolled with 6 initially, one of them being rookie Arian Smith and the other being Xavier Gibson, the most puzzling move, I think, on this whole 53. He gives you nothing offensively and a below-average punt returner. So you're looking at pretty much 4 guys who have played in the NFL when you're talking about the wide receiver room here and can contribute to an offense. Behind Garrett Wilson, none of them give you anything pass-catching wise. You talk about Reynolds for his blocking ability. You talk about Lazard for his blocking ability, because Lazard truly does nothing for you as a pass catcher. I always say, if you have to talk about how great of a blocker a receiver is, they're really not that great. And look,
but
for sure, yeah. There's obviously the all-time caveats. Yeah, for sure. But the bottom line for me here is I know Justin Fields isn't going to throw the ball, and this team's going to lean on running the ball a ton. But now you have 5 wide receivers on your 53-man roster and 5 tight ends. You can't activate 5 tight ends on game day. Therefore, 2 of those guys are going to be inactive, most likely. You could move on from Jeremy Ruckert. You could release him, cut him, because he's not a vested veteran. And I'm sure he can get through waivers and get on your practice squad. I don't think anyone is clamoring for Jeremy Ruckert when you look at, nothing he's produced offensively as a pass catcher, and then the incompetence truly in the blocking game, just whiff after whiff after whiff, has been the story of Jeremy Ruckert's career as a blocker, Frankie. So I just don't understand why this team would release a veteran receiver who got a ton of run with the starting team, ultimately bring him back in the practice squad instead of waiving one of these 4 tight ends on the roster, especially a player like Ruckert, who really doesn't have much of a concrete role on this team.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. I thought you were spot on there, Connor. I'll say this too. Outside of Garrett Wilson or any of these receivers, whether they're receivers or not, or however you want to label it, are they healthy? I mean, Lazard's not healthy. Josh Reynolds isn't healthy. Arian Smith's a rookie. Xavier Gibson's a return guy. So you have really only Garrett Wilson you could depend on come week one. And I think, and I said this yesterday, and I've been saying it throughout the last month or so, week one's the most important week of the season. You have to win week one, because what happens is if you win week one, you start 1-0. Then you play Buffalo tough. Even if you lose, you play them tough. Then you start building confidence. Then you build momentum. Then you look at your second half of the schedule. You can rattle off some wins. You'll be able to win a few in that first half before the bye also, because you have that confidence. And you're obviously pretty good in the fact that you beat Pittsburgh and played Buffalo tough. So obviously you need to be good. But that's the formula there for the Jets to get going. They can't go into week one with this receiving corps. They cannot do it. And I think there's a move to be had. I really do. I think they got to do something. You either have to wait for someone to want to get traded. You have to, I don't know, check out the waiver wire again. They have to address that wide receiver room. Not even just for the fact of giving Garrett Wilson help in terms of bending coverage off of him, but Fields has to be able to throw the ball to one of these guys that can make plays. Someone's going to have to get Yak in that wide receiving department. Fields isn't Peyton Manning. Fields isn't Justin Herbert. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's just not. So, like, these receivers are going to have to make plays and get Yak. And, you know, do we see any of those kind of receivers on this team? Lazard's the only one, really, outside of Garrett Wilson, that can play.
He can't play without Rodgers, though. Rodgers has made his whole career. I mean, I was the biggest advocate, Frankie, and I don't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're right. You're right. No,
I was the biggest advocate of rostering Quentin Skinner over Allen Lazard because he is so much younger.
I wanted to roster Skinner. I wanted to keep Lazard because he can play at least. You could line him up as a wide receiver 3 and get away with it. I wanted Skinner just because I wanted Skinner, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was the perfect Lazard replacement, and everyone's going to point to blocking. I watched some Skinner film in college of him in run blocking reps. I looked at his grades from PFF. I watched him throughout the preseason, rewatching all these games on the All-22 angle. Frankly, in college, he graded out as a more efficient run blocker than Lazard did last year in the NFL. He has the size. He's 6'5". It's not like I'm talking about a 6'1", 6-foot wide receiver here who's just a sharp route runner. He gives you the contested catch up side. His speed, his athletic ability to get downfield flashed in the preseason. So this is someone I've been talking about since May when this team first picked him up. Averaged over 20 yards a catch at Kansas. I don't know how you can look at him and look at Allen Lazard, especially when a team like the Jets is trying to get younger at every position, and say that Allen Lazard is the bona fide upgrade.
Well, I'll tell you something. I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole a few days ago and actually looked at a Reddit thread about Quentin Skinner and his fans in college. And somebody had posted even before the draft, this kid's phenomenal. Why isn't he getting more love out of this draft? And then you had some other comments in that thread saying he disappears. He'll get you 120, 130 yards catching. And then the next game, he'll give you virtually nothing, which is so fine. Skinny. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, he's a Robbie Anderson kind of player, sort of, right? Someone like that. Mm-hmm. That's fine, though. I don't. Not every receiver has to be, on the trajectory of an all timer or within this realm of being a top 10 receiver in the league. You just see guys that can make some plays. I don't see anybody on this roster that can make plays outside of Garrett Wilson. I'm hoping Arian Smith can. I think they're going to turn him loose a couple times this year. You'll see him do some things, maybe a couple Deshaun Jackson-esque kind of plays out there or MVS-ish. But I don't know, man. I don't know how much they're going to be able to get away with this, like stack the deck with tight ends and running backs and misdirection and zone reads and, et cetera. I know that where Tanner Engstrand comes from in Detroit and what Ben Johnson was doing and did with Jared Goff, you need players to go out there and catch the football, and you need a bunch of them too. So I don't know. We'll see.
Definitely. And one of the reasons I love chopping it up with you, Frankie, is because we do see eye to eye on a bunch of topics. Some call us pessimistic. Some call us pessimistic Jet fans. I just call us realistic Jet fans. That's what I like to call us. And a lot of people I've thrown out that question quite a few times, Frankie, and a lot of people, a lot of pundits, a lot of content creators, a lot of analysts, reporters, the whole 9 yards always talk about Breece Hall to me. And Breece Hall, no doubt, not taking anything away from him, had an incredible 2023 season. But when you look at what he did last year and the injury history that he's created over these past couple seasons with all these knee injuries, we're seeing the explosiveness take a huge step back year in and year out. People expect Breece Hall to collect 500 receiving yards on this team. I don't think he's in that realm, Frankie. Keep in mind, when he had 500 receiving yards in 2023, a lot of those passes came from checkdowns from Zach Wilson because Zach Wilson was afraid to push the ball downfield. And then last year, when they tried to get him acclimated as a slot receiver, pushing the ball down the field, it was drop after drop, fumble after fumble. So when you talk about receiving and a guy stepping up, Frankie, I think a lot of people are putting too much stock into Breece Hall and thinking he's going to be the saving grace of this passing attack. And frankly, I don't think he's the answer.
Yeah, so there's two things here. I tend to agree with you. The caveat there is Tanner Engstrand going to be able to scheme Breece Hall open, and how is he going to scheme him open, and where is Breece Hall going to start in a formation? Where's he going to end, and where is after the snap? Where's he going to go? I mean, that's
the
really
vision is an issue. The vision is the biggest issue for me.
Yeah, but as as a receiver, he is not going to benefit from a Justin Fields that goes from read 1 to read 2 to read 3 and then dump it off to his running back. He's not going to benefit yardage-wise from that. For that reason, I'm out with Breece Hall being the Jets' second leading pass catcher or having some year where he catches for 700-800 yards. I really have a tough time seeing it. But if Tanner's able to really scheme him up and do some really, unique things. Again, how many running backs in the NFL are great, receiving backs consistently? You have Alvin Kamara, you have Saquon at times. There's really not that many. And how many line up at receiver? Fans are saying, we're going to line up Breece at slot wide receiver.
Slot, yeah.
I ask them, who? They go, CMC. Yeah, once in a blue. Yeah, Kamara does a bit. But then, I mean, you're talking 2-3 guys that don't even do it consistently. Some
10 snaps, really 5 snaps a game.
Yeah, I mean, Breece Hall's not a wide receiver. He's a running back. He is not a slot wide receiver. He's a running back. Now, to what you're saying, talking about him as a running back, running the football, Connor, yeah, he lacks vision big time. I've seen him numerous times. I watch, the All-22, and during the game I see it, and then I will go and watch the All-22. And a lot of times during the game, I'm like, there's a huge cutback. Man. You could drive a truck through there. Exactly. And I don't rewind usually. Sometimes I do. I let the game play out. I'll watch the game. I'll analyze it tomorrow. Then when I go and analyze it, I often see it. Not every time. Sometimes the play is designed to go one way, and you take it that way, and you don't try to cut it back. Even if there is a lane, it's meant to go one way. And I understand that. But all too often, man, he misses those lanes, dude. And it's why his yards per carry were so low last year, and why he hasn't rushed for 1,000 yards yet in the NFL. Honestly, athletically speaking, in space, he's phenomenal.
Yep.
Let's not get it twisted with Breece Hall and what he can do in space. He's really, really elite in space, but you have to get in space to get all the juice out of Breece Hall. And I fear that he's not going to be able to get that here, but I think he'll probably be somewhere else next year, if you want my opinion on that matter. I don't think he won't be. I think this might be his last year as a New York Jet.
I think, Frankie, if he has, unless this team is competing for a Super Bowl by the trade deadline or competing for a deep playoff push and they have, one loss come the trade deadline, which is very, very, very unlikely. I'm in the boat where I think the Jets should trade Breece Hall at the deadline because I don't think he's coming back on this football team either way. I think if he has a big year, he's going to point to 2023 as well and ask for more money than the Jets want to give him. And then I think if he has a poor year, the Jets are just going to move on. You hope, in my opinion, that he's able to play it up enough to the trade deadline where you can get a 4th-round pick in exchange for him. I'm not trading Breece Hall right now, Frankie, because I think if you were to try to trade Breece today, you're getting a 6th-round pick, you're getting a 7th-round pick. You're not getting anything really in return for Breece. And I'm going to gamble on the upside of Breece Hall. Let's not get it twisted like you mentioned overtaking a 6th round pick, overtaking a 7th round draft choice, and a draft a year from now or a late round pick swap. So I gamble on Brees now, but come the trade deadline, I may have a completely different opinion on what the Jets should do with Brees Hall, trade on his long-term future in New York. Now I want to ask you this. Who has more touches at the end of the season, Braylon Allen or Brees Hall?
Total touches or
Yep.
or carries?
Carries. I'll say carries. Yeah, we're talking about the running game here.
It's going to be close. I think it's I hate not being able to answer, but I'm flipping a coin on this one. To be honest, I want to say Braylon Allen, but I think they're both going to have around 190, 200 carries amongst both of them. Honestly, they get a lot of carries. So if I had to say, I'd still go Brees. I would, but I think Braylon might outrush him. I think Braylon Allen's going to have somewhere between 4.7 yards, 4.8 yards to carry. I think Brees is going to be at that like 4.1 mark, 4.2. I think Braylon outrushes him, not by much. So I think they'll be somewhat equal in usage on the ground. I think Brees will get a lot early on in the season, and then I think they're going to start phasing him out. I mean, you could go either way on that. I hate not being able to answer your question, Connor, but
of course.
I mean, if I was betting, it'd be Brees, but you're talking 50-50 on that one. But I do think Braylon Allen at the end of the year will have more rushing yards than Brees Hall. I think Brees Hall falls short of his 850. I think he gets around 775, 800. I think Braylon Allen creeps around 900 yards rushing. Just my opinion on it.
For sure. And for me, I go with Braylon Allen when you're talking about pure carries. When you're talking about touches, I think it's Brees Hall because he's obviously going to have that element in the passing attack, that receiving game where he's going to make more of an impact as a pass catcher than Braylon Allen. But I think Braylon Allen is pretty much going to be the bell cow of this rushing attack. And I know I never like to overreact in the preseason, but just watching the tape with Braylon Allen, that step that he has to just hit the hole so hard that when you watch Brees and we talk about the vision, he's very, very, very hesitant. I think Braylon is just super, super confident in his first decision and his rushing ability. So I think Braylon Allen is going to be the true bell cow of this offense, and I think they're going to use Braylon Allen to set up Brees Hall in situations that will make his rushing numbers efficient, if that makes sense. I think they're going to use Braylon Allen to then put Brees Hall in the opportunity to be the big play guy. And Frankie, I'll tell you this right now. I think the blend of Braylon Allen and Justin Fields in the same backfield is incredible. When you look at the power of Braylon Allen and his north-south ability for Fields to then push it east-west on a read option, like those 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 plays. Obviously, these two are never new, that they're not even close to the caliber of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, but it's going to be that similar element with the run-and-gun style quarterback, the speedy guy with the power back in the backfield. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that this season. So, again, if I had to go touches, I'd say Brees Hall. But when you talk about pure carries in this rushing attack, I go Braylon Allen. Frankie, do you think Brees is gone by the deadline?
Not by the deadline. I don't think there's going to be a team that's in such a need for a running back that's going to want to make an offer then. I think they're just going to want to wait until the offseason. Now, if there was a team that I'd put money on, it could be Kansas City. They're an interesting team that could use someone like Brees Hall. They're depending on Pacheco, who's had injury issues, and they brought back Kareem Hunt, so like they might need somebody. But outside of that, there's not many teams I can think of that would be willing to part with a 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick at the deadline that feel like that'll put them over the top, where they can just wait in the offseason to kind of address their running back. So I would say no, I don't think he gets traded at the deadline, but I don't think he's a Jet next year. I don't think we're going to pay him. I mean, it does depend a little bit on what Braylon Allen does. Also, the year that Braylon Allen has will dictate how much confidence we have with him being potentially RB1 going into 26. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen with this rushing attack in terms of usage for the most part between Fields, Allen, Brees, Isaiah Davis. I'm curious to see kind of how they utilize all 3 of those guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in right here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Make sure you smash the like button, hit subscribe, It is completely free and it helps the channel grow a ton. I'm your host, Connor Long. He's U Stadium's Frankie V, joining us right here on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. And again, thank you all for joining us. Be sure to smash the like button, hit subscribe, continue to grow the platform. You guys got any questions, comments, your thoughts? Load all of those up in the chat. We're going to get to those shortly. Frankie, I want to gauge your thoughts on the Jets practice squad, what has been solidified thus far, all the official practice squad signings they've made. I'm going to start with safety Dean Clark. This is someone who performed well in the final 2 preseason games, especially the Giants game with the sack, with the pass breakup, with the interception, the trifecta for Clark, a UDFA at a Fresno State. He's someone I tabbed earlier in the offseason as someone who had one of the highest chances among the undrafted free agents to make the roster, just given how thin on established talent the safety room is for the Jets. Ultimately, he doesn't make the roster, but he comes back on the practice squad. Do you think he was worthy of a 53?
Not worthy of a 53, but I like him on the practice squad. We do have a lean safety room. We have really 3 actual safeties on the roster, with Isaiah Oliver sort of being that 4th safety. And, Moore was hurt in camp. So, I like Dean Clark there. And I think he'll get activated at some point this year for sure. You have 4 safeties. One goes down. One might not be playing well. I think you'll see him at points throughout the year.
Now, Brady Cook on this list, Frankie. A lot of Jet fans wanted Tommy Cutlets to come to New York, stay in New York with the Jets. Ultimately, even if the Jets wanted him, they couldn't have claimed him because Patriots had the higher waiver claim. He went to New England. I thought that was utterly ridiculous, Frankie.
That was pretty funny.
Jet fans wanting Tommy Cutlets. It was funny, but at the same time, I was like, are we being serious here on this Tommy DeVito hype? I think Tommy DeVito is just as bad as Zach Wilson, if I'm being frank.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you're talking about these third quarterbacks, I mean, it's like the Mike White conversation. They can come in and play well for a game or two. Once the book's out on them, they really don't give you much, longevity as a starter. So they're good to have on a roster because you need them. And if you have a better one, you can have a Mike White situation. Might be able to win a game or two, or DeVito. But again, when those guys are playing, for the most part, your team's probably not performing all that well. So you might be winning some useless football games. But I wanted another quarterback on the practice squad potentially, just because Brady Cook again looked really good in camp and preseason for the most part running the offense, but I wanted someone with a little bit higher upside. So I wasn't the biggest Kyle McCord fan out of college. I wasn't. He made my top 5 quarterbacks, but he was 5th. But I just thought he had a little bit more upside than Brady Cook. But again, Brady Cook's someone that you can activate and understands what Tanner wants to do. So I mean, there's advantages to both and disadvantages to both. But listen. I like Brady Cook. I also think they might need to activate Brady Cook. I mean, I was speaking about this yesterday, Connor. There's a rule now with the new CBA that if you have an emergency quarterback designation, they don't have to be considered part of your 46 that suits up on game day. You can do 46 on game day plus the emergency quarterback. Tyrod Taylor's injured at this point. Justin Fields was injured in camp for only a few days, but has had some injury issues. I mean, I'm going into week 1 and I'm bringing up an emergency quarterback. I'm not trying to have Stone Smart be that person. So, you got to win that game is my point, So, people say, well, if you go to your third quarterback, means you're probably going to lose. Yeah, but that might be a really low-scoring game. I think that week 1 is going to be very low-scoring. 2 new quarterbacks, 2 really new offenses, new receivers. The nerves kick in, 2 really good defenses. I mean, a third quarterback might make the difference. Who knows? So I would take that advantage if I was the Jets, but they still may. I don't know. This is just what the roster is now. It's going to change in a week. I'm telling you, you'll have a player here activated, a player there on the practice squad, etc. So, but yeah,
certainly. And Good, just kind of rattling off some more names down this list. Harrison Mevis is a name that I found intriguing. Nick Folk clearly beat him out, but I've really, really liked this decision, the Jets keeping Mevis on their practice squad. You look at a veteran like Folk, and I'm not predicting this to happen. He's led the league in field goal percentage over the past 2 years. Same could be said about Greg Zuerlein. You never know when these veterans who are getting up there in age will simply just lose their stride, and hopefully that doesn't happen to the Jets with Folk midway through this year, but it's always great to have a backup plan, someone who's been in the building, so I'm okay with Mevis there. I reported that Jordan Clark signed with the Jets practice squad after he was waived. There was a handshake deal in place that he would revert to the practice squad. He's a great mind. He has great on-ball instincts. Similar to Quentin Skinner, though. He just needs to put some more weight on. He's too lanky. He's too skinny. Gives you an extra body in the slot. One move here I don't understand is Aaron Bug Smith making the practice squad. I reported that he was waived pretty early on cut down day. I don't understand bringing him back on the practice squad, Frankie. I think keeping a guy like Zaire Barnes around, who's been with this team for multiple years now, who made the initial 53, but then was released after the Jets made their other 2 waiver claims yesterday, and Esapole and Cam Jones, Zaire Barnes off the 53. I think it would make much more sense to keep a guy like Barnes around compared to Aaron Bug Smith. And keep in mind, we're just talking about the practice squad here, but that's something I found intriguing.
Yeah, well, you're seeing with the Jets specifically, they do like themselves these athletic linebackers that can really, really move well in space. They like that. Jamin Davis was that. McCrary Ball's that. They like they like the linebackers that can move in space. And Bug Smith used to be a wide receiver. So out of high school, he was a 2-star wide receiver. So I mean, they like that kind of linebacker. That's what Steve Wilkes wants to do. They're going to do a lot of different stunts. They're going to bring pressure up the middle using their linebackers. They're going to want their linebackers to drop in space. They're going to have to, because you're bringing a stunt or a blitz pressure one way. You need your linebackers to kind of drop in space and cover that middle of the field the other, or the flats, depending upon the assignment. So I think they want their linebackers to be athletic, and he is, he's an athletic linebacker.
Thank you all for joining us right here on NY Flight Jets. I'm Connor Long, ECU Stadium's Frankie V. Shout out to the 120 of you guys watching us live right here on YouTube. Make sure you all
there you go.
Hit subscribe. It is completely free.
Damn, you have bigger numbers than I do. What the hell, man?
Frankie, you're the one bringing in the numbers. Let's be frank.
No. Don't give me too much credit.
Follow Frankie on Twitter if you haven't already, at Frankie Vitz. Shout out to Frankie for hanging out with us right here on this Thursday evening, and shout out to all you guys right here in the building.
How many haters do I have in the chat? Do I have some haters in the chat?
I only spot one.
I must have a few.
Well, Dick Timmy's burner said Tanky V. What he said earlier, he's saying Tanky V, and then let's see. There's Jets Johnny.
There we go. That sounds like a hater.
Comments. Yeah. It says if the Jets win week 1, they will be 1-0, says Tanky V. So, I mean, that's just, if you ain't got haters, you ain't popping, Frankie. I'm used to it.
Jets Johnny's sounds like a Jake Homer fan that thinks the Jets are just the greatest thing in the world. So let him live his reality.
Shots fired by Frankie right here on the show. Alan says Adam Schefter has nothing on your Connor Long. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate the kind words. It was cool being able.
Dude, you're on the trajectory, dude. You're like LeBron in high school, man. It's
thank you, man.
You're just, you're number 1 overall pick. You're gonna be driving the Hummer soon. You're in Italy doing shows. I mean, look, what time is it? What time? You got 6 hours, right? It's
10:53.
There you go, 10:53 in Italy, and you're grinding away, man. Seriously, Connor, people my age, I'm in my mid-30s, man. People my age in this field don't do that. They're not doing that.
I appreciate it.
Good for you, man. You got a very bright future ahead of you.
I appreciate the kind words. Always. And Alan says, Connor, you should cover the Jets from Italy. At least you can have awesome pasta while watching this disastrous team. Not an awful idea, Frankie, because the food here is like no other. Like I mentioned to you off air, and obviously, firsthand coming to Italy.
What'd you have for dinner tonight? What?
Spaghetti and meatballs was the
spaghetti and meatballs in Italy.
Oh yeah.
Who made you spaghetti and meatballs? That's like
some
sacrilege in
restaurant,
Italy.
some restaurant in Rome. I've gotten it multiple nights now. Here in
Really?
Italy.
Was it actual spaghetti and meatballs, or was like pasta al forno, which has pasta and meatballs?
It was spaghetti and meatballs tonight.
That is very interesting to me. That's very
It
interesting.
was more of like a tourist place though in Rome, so
right.
maybe it wasn't.
Listen, I have nothing. Listen, I'll be honest. I'm Italian. My parents are from Italy. I have nothing against spaghetti and meatballs. Zero. Spaghetti and meatballs are great. Meatballs are great. Spaghetti's great. They can go together because pasta al forno is ziti with meatballs. So what's the real? But in Italy, yeah, you don't really see that. They make fun of Americans in Italy for thinking that Italians eat spaghetti and meatballs. So I think that's fun. But they probably.
I learned that with chicken parm. I had no
Yeah.
idea that chicken parm was an American thing.
Have you seen chicken parm there?
No, not in one place.
Yeah.
Never seen a chicken parm here in Italy. Same with penne alla vodka and
Bolo alla parmigiana. There we go.
Yeah, there we go, Frankie. You got it. You're firing on all cylinders. Alan says when Darren Mushi said he liked the Jets wide receiver room, I laughed out loud. You know, he's the general manager of this team, so of course he's going to say that. It's just some of the roster building tactics that this team used by rostering Alan Lazard and Xavier Gibson over Jamal Pritchard and Quentin Skinner puzzled me. Look, you can make a case for Lazard like you compiled earlier on in the show, Frankie, but there is no rhyme or reason whatsoever that Xavier Gibson deserves to be on this roster than Jamal Pritchard, who is so explosive and gives you something more than just special teams.
Yeah, the one reason Gibson's on this roster, Aaron Glenn brought it up, is he had 146 punts in training camp, and he didn't fumble one. Now, he did fumble a punt for us a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, and I think they like him there. I listened. I said this on Jake's show yesterday. I listened to a presser he had, Xavier, I don't know, maybe a week and a half ago. Dude, he speaks glowingly of Glenn. He's got a nice smile on his face, great energy, seems like an awesome guy. I think they like him there. And there's nothing wrong with that. The thing that's wrong, though, is they don't have receivers. So to Alan's point, I couldn't agree more. Or I couldn't share that sentiment anymore. Like it's mind-boggling that they like that wide receiver room. Now, Muji did say that they're always looking to improve the roster and basically said that immediately after discussing the receivers, which makes me believe that they're going to make a move. Listen, they have to make a move at receiver, regardless of any, you cannot roster Garrett Wilson, a rookie that people don't think can play yet, and then two receivers that are hurt, and then a fifth receiver that's a punt returner. Like, you literally just can't roster that. I mean, it's crazy if they do that. And if they do, they're going to be at a massive disadvantage. Or even if they just pick up a random, they need to make a real move. I said this before, Connor, when Philadelphia got AJ Brown. I'm not comparing us to the Eagles. I'm just saying. People were saying, why are they getting AJ Brown? They have Devonta Smith. They went to the Super Bowl already. They should have won. Why are they doing that? Well, because, why are they doing that? Another point. Jalen Hurts doesn't throw for that many yards. Why would they do that? Well, because it helps both receivers out. It helps your offense out. It opens things up. And they also added Saquon Barkley. So everything's open. Now, the Jets offense is going to be one of the easiest offenses to scheme against when they're throwing the football. They have to now make it a point to be one of the toughest offenses to scheme against when they're running the football. That's the Jets are going to win. That's the Jets are going to win football games. They're going to be one of the easiest offenses to scheme against the pass. But the run is where they could be one of the most difficult offenses to scheme against. You don't know, is Fields keeping it? Is he giving it? Is this person in pre-snap going to take a handoff? Are they going to line up in the backfield? I mean, you just don't know. So they need to make – and then that can help out their passing game with the RPO. So it's going to be interesting. Tanner Engstrand, I don't think anybody's got a harder job than that guy this year. I don't. Now he's got a quarterback that's got a unique skill set. Justin Fields, again, you know the stats, second most rushing yards ever for a quarterback in NFL history. Kid can run it. Now, how do you scheme it is the question.
Certainly, and I kind of want to get into this, the wide receiver 2 debate. Do the Jets need to trade for one? Do they not? I've had a ton of people DM me on Twitter about this, and I've kind of given out the same response. Look, I understand it from an aspect of trying to take attention off Garrett Wilson, but at the end of the day, you talk about acquiring a wide receiver 2. We'll insert Jacoby Myers. You have to give up a pretty solid combination of day 2, day 3 picks, in my opinion, to try to land a guy like Myers. He only has 1 year left on his deal. You'd have to pay him after this year. The Jets are 10 days away from their week 1 matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Suppose the Jets were to trade for Myers tonight. That broke. The Jets traded for Jacoby Myers tonight. He would need to adapt to the playbook within 10 days of this opening matchup. He would need to get on the same page with Justin Fields. Plus, again, the aspect of how many times is Justin Fields really going to throw the ball. I just think even if the Jets trade for one wide receiver, we can have the debate of if it's worth it to dish out assets for a wide receiver too at this juncture. We could talk about that, but the bottom line is if the Jets trade for a wide receiver, even tonight, suppose, that player isn't going to make much of an impact for quite some time as they get on the same page with their quarterback and learn an entirely new scheme.
Yeah, I agree. And to be honest, man, I don't think Jacoby Myers fits what this team needs in a wide receiver too. You know who I want? I want a downfield receiver. I want any receiver, not Arian Smith. I want a receiver that can just go down the field and catch the ball on a
That's
deep
Quentin Skinner, though. I think you have him on your
kind
team.
of the problem with Quentin Skinner, though, Connor, he ran a 4.5. So as fast as we think he is, he's not that fast.
Like, still averaged 22 yards a reception in college
for sure
during his final year.
I want a 4.4 guy, not Arian Smith, because I don't think he's ready to play football in this league just yet. He's got to wait a little bit. I want a burner, man. I don't know. I'd have to look. I haven't really done my research there, to be honest with you, but I want someone that, because that middle of the field needs to be open for Garrett Wilson and those tight ends. Right? We spoke about this, in the beginning of the show. Tanner Engstrand wants a middle of the field open because Justin Fields' advantage as a quarterback is throwing across the middle and throwing to tight ends and receivers crossing across the middle. How do you open up the middle of the field? You get a receiver that is running streak routes out of the slot, out of the Y or Z roll, wherever they're playing, X roll. And they're opening up the middle of the field. I mean, That's why MVS is still playing on Sundays. And when he gets released by teams, another team picks him up, they put him in, and he'll catch a ball every once in a while. We need a player like that. I'd have to go and look. I'll look now. I mean, I'm curious who that could be. But
and in the meantime,
they need someone.
Huh? I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're not cutting me off. I'm talking.
I know some people want to hear this. Cowboys trade Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers, and they've reached an agreement on a 4-year, $188 million contract.
Wow.
Highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history. Package hasn't been released yet, but I just wanted to get that out there. Frankie, it just came across my timeline.
No, dude, that takes all precedent off us talking about a free agent freaking speedster wide receiver, please. Michael Parsons is one of the best defensive players in football, man. Wow, man. You know what?
Were you on board with the Cowboys trying to trade him? Did you think that was the right move over making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history?
I think it was stupid. It's stupidity. You know why? Because Jerry Jones has paid Dak Prescott without even thinking about it. He paid Ezekiel Elliott without even thinking about it. He got into a dance with arguably the players that he shouldn't get into dances with CeeDee Lamb. And now he's did this dance with Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons said, I am not over my dead body. Am I putting that ink on that paper, man? You are not getting me to play here. So you better get rid of me right now. You'll see Green Bay's going to get, Dallas will get a few first-round picks. This is really bad for Dallas, not only due to the player value of Micah Parsons, how much value he brings on Sundays. That locker room is really not going to like this because Micah Parsons is a big-time, force in that locker room. The guys like him. He's really a part of what they do there. The fans love him. This is not going to go over well. Jerry Jones has this little documentary out too right now. I don't know if you saw it on Netflix, America's Team.
I have not seen it. I have not.
It's excellent.
Okay.
Very good about the Dallas Cowboys, how they started with Jerry Jones and how he took over the team, etc. Some really good moments, some really bad moments. This looks like a really bad moment, but we shall see. They thought the Herschel Walker trade was a really bad trade too. And one thing with Micah Parsons, one thing with Micah Parsons, he gets hurt. So if he's a thinner build the end, if he gets hurt and doesn't really play all that much in Green Bay, Jerry could look good in this. But at this point, you can't pay everyone but your best player on defense. Like, come on, dude.
Definitely. And the way I look at it, Frankie, is a similar perspective. You paid CeeDee Lamb, you paid Dak Prescott, not keeping in mind the fact that a player like Micah Parsons was about to receive a payday down the road. Look, I think the circumstances that set up this situation from Jerry Jones were pretty much as bad as an owner could possibly handle it. But given those circumstances, I think the right decision was to trade him. And the package still hasn't been released yet, but I saw Alan actually commented earlier on the show, and I was going to pull it up about 5 minutes before the news broke. Says Parsons to Green Bay for 2 1s, and Rashawn Gary, who says no. Like, if that's the package you get from Micah Parsons.
Wait, how did Alan said that before this came out?
Before this came out. Imagine that's the package, Frankie.
Imagine. I mean, just I don't know if was there a rumor site that leaked that, because if Alan just came out of that out of left field,
clue.
that's some good stuff, man. That's a round of applause. But I'm gonna wait a little bit until I give Alan some credit here. I want to wait just
certainly.
But yeah, there's some receivers like I'm looking now.
Alec Pierce, is that the route you want to go down?
I love Alec Pierce. I would love him, but I think it would cost more than we should pay. But like DJ Shark is a downfield guy. Philip Dorsett's a downfield guy. Nelson Aguilar is a downfield guy. I know these aren't good receivers, but they're downfield guys just to open up that middle. Remember, they're decoying it more than they are. And then once Arian Smith's ready, you could just plug Arian Smith in. I'm just saying, KJ Osborne likes to run downfield. Like, there's some guys they can bring in, KJ Hamler, that can just run down the field. So pick your poison there. I mean, you're not talking about a valuable receiver, but you're talking to Zach Pascal. You're talking about a receiver that they can run a streak route. And the safeties have to honor them, because if they don't, Fields will throw them the ball, and they might not catch it, but if they do,
Yeah, I'm still taking Quentin Skinner over all those guys, though. Like
I kind of would too, man. The thing is, Quinn Skinner don't always fall in love with these UDFA receivers. I'm telling you, I get it. We've seen them. We've seen the Brownlees, who I thought was going to be good. We've been down this dance many of times, and most of the time they don't work out. These guys, at least the guys I've named off, have actually played. Nelson Aguilar has played meaningful games, has caught touchdowns in the playoffs. Like, they've been there to a degree. They're not good receivers, but you can play them. So
absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate the support. Shout out to all you guys who joined us right here on NY Flight Jets Talk, Easy Stadiums, Frankie V. I'm your host, Connor Long. Right here with you guys on the show again. Don't forget to smash the like button, hit subscribe. It is completely free and it helps the channel grow a ton. 2 comments here from Alan before we wrap up. Says, I live in Dallas. I know things. I believe the package is 2 1s. And then he says, Frankie, I know a few people in the Dallas organization. I knew this deal was getting done this morning.
I don't know. I'll take his word for it. I will. That's crazy, man. I'm not doubting you on that. I mean, to pick because if you were predicting a team, you would think of an AFC team. Or you think of an NFC like bottom feeder kind of team that like isn't ready to kind of win now. You traded him to arguably a rival in your conference. I mean, Green Bay they're right up there with anyone really in the NFC in terms of the ability to make a run and go to the Super Bowl. Outside of Philly, I mean, you have, maybe San Francisco and who else really? I mean, they're right there in that conversation. So, yeah, that's a big time move, man. That's a great move. I mean, assuming it's 2 firsts, I would do it. 3 firsts, I'd think about it, but I don't know. 3 firsts is a lot, but 2, you do it. And then Dallas hopes that they can turn those picks into something, and also hopes that maybe Micah Parsons isn't the healthiest player in Green Bay, because the last thing Jerry Jones wants to see is Micah Parsons, wreaking havoc, in playoff games.
Would you have done 2 seconds and a first with Jermaine Johnson for Micah Parsons? Suppose the Jets were front runners in that trade.
No, I wouldn't. But you're getting close.
Yeah.
A second of first and Jermaine, I would do. I would do that. Michael Parsons is arguably the best DN in football. Honestly, I mean, when he's healthy, he's incredible. 2 seconds of first and Jermaine is too much.
Oh, pushing it.
Yeah, for right now. I mean, you're mortgaging a lot there for a player that's been injured. So yeah, but I mean, it's not crazy. I mean, I wouldn't do 2 twos. I would do 1 2 though. A 2, a 1, and Jermaine. I mean, you could value Jermaine at like a first,
pretty much,
or like an early second. So it's kind of the same kind of deal that Green Bay is going to be given, right, to a degree. So yeah.
Frankie, nevertheless, thank you so much for setting aside some time.
Always appreciate you
on the show. Let everyone know where they could find you, and you got any final thoughts, football related, non-football related. Share those now.
Yeah, man. No, I'm always tweeting up some stuff, and you could follow me at Frankie Vitz. I go on Jake's show every once in a while. I do a podcast weekly with the New York Post Sports called Gangs All Here, and then with U Stadium. I'm one of the co-founders. We're actually releasing our new app update, Connor. I'll send it to you pretty soon. Sure. It's cool. It's you can make hot takes on the app, and if predictions happen, you get points for those predictions. You can cash those out, get discounts, and you can track your leaderboard amongst your friends and say, "Oh, who was right?" Well, if Alan called that Parsons was getting traded to Green Bay, a lot of people would have disagreed with Alan. No way. Well, Allen would have really made out really well on that one, and he would have had that take and have a receipt on that take forever that he could always tell people about. So that's what we're doing with our app. And I'll keep you all in the loop. But thanks for having me on, man. Dude, you do a great job, brother. You're a pleasure. You put time in. You have great opinions too. You're not, the industry can get a little homer with some people, and I like you always keep it real. So keep going, man. Enjoy Italy too. Don't spend too much time on the screen.
Thank you, Frankie. We appreciate the kind words as always.
All right, my man.
Shout out to all you guys who tuned in. He's U Stadium's Frankie V. I'm your host, Connor Long, right here on NY Flight Jets Talk, saying have a great rest of your day, everyone. And as always, JTS, baby. Jets. Peace out, folks.